It's 12 o'clock GMT. You're welcome to the AAU TV Mid-week news, and we coming to you live from the headquarters of the Association of African Universities here in Accra, Ghana. And now to our top stories for today. In higher education, fake academic journals cost South Africa millions in higher education system. In health, Ebola crisis deepens as clinical trial begin for first potential treatment. In business, Ghana's inflation jumps to 5.3% in June amid rising fuel prices. In international, Trump dominates U.S. 250th anniversary celebration. Please stay with us for more news on the AAU TV Midweek News. My name is Jemima, Deladem. We'll be right back. Welcome back from the break, and now to our news in detail. The Africa Center for Nature-Based Climate Action has partnered with the University of Ghana to host the 2026 Scientific Day of Renaissance for Africa High-Level Public Lecture, bringing together policymakers, academics, and environmental experts to examine the role of nature-based solutions in addressing climate change and advancing sustainable development. Held under the auspices of Vice-Chancellor Nana Abba Apia Amfo, the event featured a keynote address by Bala Musa Sidibe, Regional Director for the International Union for Conservation of Nature West and Central Africa, with discussions centered on how Africa can leverage its ecosystem and biodiversity to build climate resilience while creating jobs and advancing.
Speaking on the theme, can nature-based solutions deliver climate resilience, jobs, equity, and justice? Bala Musa Sadibe highlighted the growing importance of leveraging ecosystems and biodiversity as part of Africa's climate adaptation and sustainable development strategies. The high-level panel discussion featured Samuel Jinapo, Emerita Professor Ya Ntiama Beidu, and Professor John Japon, who explored how scientific research, biodiversity conservation, and nature-based solutions can support climate resilience while creating economic opportunities across the continent. A major outcome of the discussions was a call for African countries to diversify climate finance beyond conventional funding mechanisms, with participants identifying carbon markets, blended finance, green bonds, and increased private sector investment as critical tools for scaling nature-based solutions and unlocking the continent's environmental and economic potential. Speakers stressed that achieving meaningful climate action would require stronger collaboration among government, academia, businesses, civil society organizations, development partners, and local communities to effectively manage Africa's natural resources and build resilient economies. The Africa Center for Nature-Based Climate Action reaffirmed its commitment to fostering partnerships and advancing knowledge, placing nature-based solutions firmly at the center of Africa's climate resilience and sustainable development agenda.
Moving on, fraudulent academic journals known as clone journals are costing South Africa's higher education system millions of rands in misappropriated government subsidies, as researchers at some universities knowingly publish a fake journal to earn financial incentives. The scam works by duplicating the names and identification numbers of legitimate journals to deceive authors and institutions, with analysis revealing that South African universities have contributed hundreds of articles to at least 3 identified clones, potentially costing the Department of Higher Education and Training over 60 million rand in fraudulent.
Clone journals are a form of cybercrime in which fraudsters replicate the identity of legitimate academic journals using the same journal names and identification numbers to attract submission and processing fee from researchers seeking quick publication. South African universities receive government subsidies for articles published in approved journals creating a financial incentive that both researchers and institutions have exploited through clone publication. 3 clones have been identified as particularly popular with South African artists. The first, a clone of the Twist Journal, has attracted 116 articles from South African's researchers across multiple universities. The second, a clone of the Romanian journal Transylvania Review, has drawn 51 articles from South African institutions. The third and most damaging involves 2 separate clones of Italian journal Il Ponte, which together has published 339 articles by South African artists since 2019. The potential subsidy loss to the Department of Higher Education and Training from these publications alone is estimated at more than 60 million rands, equivalent to approximately $3.7 million. Researchers who contributed to the flag clones paid article processing charges ranging from $90 to nearly $1,000 per submission, with some journals offering fast-track review in as little as 1 to 3 days. Experts warn that impatient artists seeking quick publication routes are easily captured by these scams, and that universities with weak internal controls are actively enabling them.
In health, the Ebola outbreak in the Democratic Republic of Congo has escalated sharply, with confirmed cases climbing to more than 1,500 and at least 473 people dead across the eastern province of Ituri, North Kivu and South Kivu. The outbreak caused by the Budumbuyo strain of Ebola, for which there are no approved vaccines or treatments, spread undetected for weeks as authors were initially tested for the more common Zaire strain. But there is renewed hope this week as clinical trials have begun for what researchers believe could become the first effective treatment for the virus, a potential outbreak in one of DR Congo's deadliest health emergencies.
The Budumbuyo strain has proven particularly difficult to contain, spreading silently for weeks before it was correctly identified. With no approved vaccines or treatment currently available, health authorities have been racing to slow transmission across 3 conflict-affected provinces in eastern Congo, where ongoing insecurity continues to limit access for response teams. The start of clinical trials this week marks a significant turning point as researchers test what could become the first effective treatment for this strain of the virus. If successful, the breakthrough could fundamentally change the trajectory of the current outbreak and transform how future Budumbuyo outbreaks are managed globally. With over 1,500 confirmed cases and nearly 500 lives already lost, the stakes could not be higher. Health authorities say the outbreak has not yet peaked, and the true number of cases is believed to be significantly higher than official figures suggest. The world is watching closely as science races up to catch up on one of Africa's most dangerous active health crises.
Hello Africa is your live breakfast show delivering informative, entertaining, and energizing start to your day.
Our expert reviews break down the headlines and help you make sense of today's news.
We bring you nothing but the most interesting highlights on our top African stories.
Plus lifestyle features, inspiring interviews, and the best on the continent.
Every episode is packed with stories that inform, inspire, and celebrate the spirit of the continent.
Catch us live every Monday at 9 a.m.
And be part of the conversation on our social media platforms.
Hello Africa, bringing the continent to your morning.
Welcome back from the break, and now to our discovery story. Munich-based startup Knowlex AI has launched an artificial intelligence-powered business management platform targeting small businesses across 29 African countries and several other markets worldwide. The platform, which enables businesses to manage customer relations, invoicing, inventory, project, and back office operations from a single system, is available at launch across key African markets, including Nigeria, Rwanda, South Africa, Kenya, Egypt, and others. Founded in 2021, the company says its platform is equipped with country-specific tax settings, currencies, accounting standards, and legal requirements across all supported markets, with paid subscriptions starting at $24.90 per month following a free trial.
Knowlex AI was established in 2021 by Peter Meyer and Francisco Wiedemann, built on an open-source software foundation that allows the platform to adapt easily to varying business regulations and market requirements across different countries. At the heart of the platform is an AI teammate capable of generating codes and invoices, turning meeting notes into actionable tasks, managing inventory order requests, and automating everyday business operations. Business owners, however, retain full control approving key actions before execution. The company says the platform is equipped with country-specific tax settings, currencies, and accounting standards, making it locally relevant from day one across its 29 supported African countries. Knowlex AI enters a competitive landscape alongside established global business software providers such as Odoo, Zoho, HubSpot, and Microsoft, as well as African SME-focused platforms, including Moneybook, Order Africa, and Tremby. While the company has not yet secured customers on the continent, it says African businesses can begin using the platform immediately from launch. With Africa's small business sector representing one of the continent's most significant economic engines, Knowlex AI is betting that a single, intelligent, and locally adapted platform could be exactly what African entrepreneurs have been waiting for.
Morocco has booked a place in the FIFA World Cup quarterfinals after beating Canada 3-0 in Houston on Saturday, becoming the first African nation to reach the last 8 of the tournament more than twice. 2 goals from Azzedine Ounahi and a late strike from Sofiane Rahimi sealed the historic victory as tens of thousands of jubilant fans watching on a giant screen in Rabat erupted in celebration. The Atlas Lions will now face France favourites to win the tournament in Boston next Thursday.
The atmosphere in Rabat's Park Stadium was electric as tens of thousands of Moroccan fans watched the game live on a giant screen in the capital. The Atlas Lions had a nervy first half, but once they settled, they firmly took control of the game and delivered a commanding performance. Mustafa Bouhia, a fan, could barely contain his excitement after the final whistle, saying Morocco had won the match and would beat France too. He declared that the World Cup would be theirs. Fellow supporter Abdellah Bensouda described it as a fantastic game, acknowledging some nervous moments at the beginning but praising the national team. He cautioned that it was only the beginning and that there was still a long way to go. Morocco's quarter-final appearance is the latest chapter in a remarkable run at this year's tournament, having been the first African team to qualify for the round of 16. But if the Atlas Lions' performances so far are anything to go by, Thursday's clash in Boston promises to be anything but straightforward.
Veteran Ghanaian filmmaker and art advocate Sokrat Safo has issued a strongly worded open letter to government-appointed creatives challenging them to stop rehearsing the industry's problems and start delivering the leadership needed to transform it. Published on his Facebook page on Thursday, July 2nd, the letter was addressed to Tourism, Culture and Creative Arts Minister Ablaji Fagomashi and other creative appointees, coming amid growing frustration among industry players over decades of unresolved challenges, including inadequate funding, weak copyright enforcement, piracy, poor infrastructure.
Using an analogy drawn from Italian football legend Andrea Pirlo, Sappho illustrated what true leadership should look like. He recounted how former Black Stars midfielder Kevin Prince Boateng once described how Pirlo pulled him aside at AC Milan training and told him simply, "If you are free, I will have already seen you." For Sappho, those words captured the vision, foresight, and anticipation expected of great leaders. Sappho wrote that great leaders did not need to be reminded of the obvious, that they saw what others missed and anticipated challenges before they become crises. He argued that the creative industry's problems had been discussed exhaustively for years, featuring in conferences, interviews, policy papers, and media discussions without corresponding action. He stressed that the appointees had not been chosen to become the industry's loudest commentators, but its most effective problem solvers. Sappho said the creative community had shouted long enough and now expected leadership capable of identifying opportunities, implementing reforms, and delivering measurable results. He described the creative economy as one of Ghana's most untapped economic assets, with the potential to generate employment, boost tourism, strengthen cultural diplomacy, and contribute significantly to national development. He challenged the appointees to ensure their tenure was remembered for institutions strengthened, policy implemented, and investment attracted, not speeches about problems everyone already knew existed.
Ghana's inflation nearly doubled in June, rising to 5.3% off 3.7% in May, as high fuel prices driven by the ongoing war in Iran continued to rattle the economy. Transport fares, rent, and school fees were the main drivers of the increase. Despite the sharp rise, inflation remains significantly lower than the 13.7% recorded in June 2025, reflecting the broader recovery trajectory Ghana has maintained since entering an IMF program in 2023, following its debt default the previous year.
Ghana's economy collapsed in 2022 after the combined pressures of the COVID-19 pandemic and the effects of the war in Ukraine overwhelmed public finances, forcing the country to default on its debt. An IMF program launched in 2023 has since helped stabilize the economy and put it on a path to recovery. That recovery, however, is now facing new headwinds. High global fuel prices linked to wars in Iran are pushing up transport costs, feeding through to rent and school fees, and threatening to erode the gains made over the past 2 years. In a sign of growing financial confidence, Ghana returned to the local bond market in April, launching a 7-year cedi-denominated treasury bond to support the 2026 budget. It marked the country's first domestic bond issuance since the 2022 debt default, a milestone that signals renewed investor trust in the economy. Authorities say inflation, whilst rising, remains far below the level seen just a year ago, and that the fundamentals of the recovery remain intact.
The United States marked its 250th anniversary on Saturday in a deeply politicized celebration at President Donald Trump used the occasion to deliver a rally-style speech hailing American exceptionalism while renewing attacks on domestic opponents he branded communists. The event at the National Mall in Washington was delayed by 2 hours after dangerous storms and lightning strike forced an evacuation of the grounds. With midterm elections 4 months away and his popularity at an all-time low, Trump's decision to place himself at the center of the celebrations underscored the deep division marking his second term in office.
In a speech delayed by several hours due to the storms, Trump described the United States as the crowning achievement of human history and claimed the country was prouder than ever before under his presidency. He told the tens of thousands gathered on the mall that no people had done more good, shown more courage, made more progress, righted more injustice, or achieved more greatness than the American people, adding that the rest of the world tried to be like the United States, but that nobody could match it. Trump hailed veterans from World War II and the Korean and Vietnam Wars, but described the latter two conflicts as battles against communists. He warned that the warriors who fought communism on battlefields across the world had not done so only for that menace to return to American soil, and declared it would not be allowed to happen. He also boasted about recent military campaigns against Iran and Venezuela, claiming Washington had wiped out Tehran's military. Analysts say his determination to dominate the celebrations highlighted the country's deepening political divisions. These were on full display near Capitol Hill, where marksmen carried Confederate flags and white supremacist insignia, gathered shouting, "Reclaim America." A Quinnipiac University poll showed 61% of Americans believed their country was not living up to the ideals of the Declaration of Independence.
Now, thank you for staying with us, and let's take a quick look at our top stories. In higher education, fake academic journals cost South Africa millions in higher education system. In health, Ebola crisis deepens as clinical trials begin for first potential treatment. In business, Ghana's inflation jumps to 5.3% in June amid rising fuel prices. An international, Trump donates US 250th anniversary celebrations. Thanks for sticking with us on the AAU TV Midweek News. You can also get interactive with us on our social media platforms, Association of African Universities, on Facebook and YouTube. My name is Jemima, Deladem Dotsey. Have a lovely day.